So welcome to the 2016 Triumph Speed Triple R. You may remember previously that I test rode a 2013 Speed Triple, but aside from the chassis, this new machine is almost completely different in almost every way. The biggest and most major change is the engine, which incorporates 104 revised bits and pieces. This results in a power increase to 140 brake horsepower, and the torque is up to around 83 foot-pounds. There are new throttle bodies, new intake and exhaust, which result in a claimed 10% increase in MPG. Further improvements include things like a slipper clutch and revised gear ratios, a ride-by-wire throttle borrowed from the Daytona 675R. As a direct result of the new ride-by-wire throttle and ECU, we now finally have rider modes. 5 modes: rain, road, sport, track and rider, featuring varying degrees of ABS and traction control, and in rider mode you can set this up however you want, whether you want them on or off, or various levels of strength is up to you. Revised looks all around are quite obvious, especially with the new headlights and the new front cowl, which incorporates the air intake in between. Handling and stopping are taken care of by Olin suspension, front and rear, and new dual 320mm 4-pop Brembo radial calipers mated to a Brembo master cylinder.
So one of the first things that I notice about the Speed Triple, it feels like the seat kind of tips forward a little towards the front. It just feels different to the previous Triple, because obviously the tank has been completely redesigned. It didn't have any of these nice cuts across the top or across the side. And something that a lot of people overlook is that for a pillion passenger, and my girlfriend is on the back all the time, one of her biggest complaints about the previous Speed was that because the tank was so bulbous, she found it very difficult to find a place to hold on tight. And if you do the good old Spock sign with your hand, your fingers fit either side of this crest on the tank perfectly as a pillion, so you're nice and secure on there. And for the legs, that feels lovely. And yep, she has plenty of torque, that's for sure. I'm going to change out of road mode now, because that's not what I want. I want to be free to gallop a little. Sport, track. Hold the clutch, let go of the throttle. Now we're in track mode. It's that easy. One button is all you need, and the fact that you can change maps on the fly is amazing. Yeah, that's more like it. Because of the ridiculous amount of torque that this bike is now kicking out, you're going to need some decent brakes to slow it down. And fortunately, thank you sir, the bike is sporting some 4-pot Brembos which stop you on a 10-pence. They're incredible. Wow, that front brake. Wow. Oh, that's incredible. Oh my god. So even in track mode, I'm able to pull away there so smoothly. It's just fantastic. Gearbox is nice and clunky but smooth at the same time. You get a nice tactile click. The cockpit itself is a very nice place to be. I'm not a huge fan of the height of the fly screen. on the new version. I preferred the hornier version on the older bike with a bit more height on it. I'm glad that the dashboard is the same. I love the analog tacho and the digital readouts and stuff. It's great. Plenty of information on there, everything you're going to need. One of my favourite additions to the new version Speed are these mirrors. These are stock mirrors. They come as standard, bar end. Massively adjustable. Have them any way you like. The one on the right hand side is a little bit vibey. I rode one of these in the States recently and it had the exact same issue. Only on the right hand side. Left side was fine, the right side vibrates slightly, which makes looking in it a little blurry. So you guys know that my daily rider is a 2013 Street Triple R. And for those of you not in the know, the Street Triple is the baby brother of the Speed Triple. This is a 1050, the Street Triple is a 675. And that makes a big weight difference. This bike, when you're just rolling it around in the garage, feels really quite heavy. But when you're riding, oh my goodness, it feels lighter than my 675. It makes no sense whatsoever. But it's so nimble. The handling is just astronomically good. And I can't wait to reach some twisties further up here and demonstrate to you really what I mean. What a machine! With bikes like this prowling the streets in 2016, part of me has to wonder, is the era of the sport bike dead? The way the power is delivered from so low down in the rev range, it hits peak torque so early that I'm already at maximum acceleration before a sport bike is even halfway close. Oh my god. The power is incredible. It's just a limitless pool of it. And now that the fun is over and I'm just cruising around, the bike settles down and it's calm and it's relaxed, and so am I.
It's no surprise by now that I'm impressed by this motorcycle. Compared to the previous model, I feel like Triumph have come forward leaps and bounds. At this point, the results are really starting to speak for themselves, and I feel like this bike is way too good to be true. All that's going through my mind is how much fun that I'm having, and how easy it is to have that fun. But at the back of my mind, I'm thinking there must be something wrong with it. There just has to be. Nothing is perfect. Nothing can be perfect. So what's wrong with it? At the cost of all the improvements Triumph have made, have they had to compromise on something else? In order to make Part A better, did they have to take away from Part B? And the answer is actually yes, but not in quite as severe a way as you might think.
The bike still benefits from a nice throaty induction roar, although it's not quite as pronounced. It's lost a bit of that unique sound, but it's completely in a world of its own in terms of character and the way that it rides. I'm not a huge fan aesthetically of the two giant rear cans, but these new exhausts are lighter and more free-flowing, so they're an improvement over the previous model. That said, the sound isn't quite there for me. It doesn't have the bark to back up the bite. The bite is there, but the bark isn't. Not a criticism, because standard bikes just tend to sound a bit crap anyway, generally. The way it handles is just sublime, absolutely sublime. Doesn't feel like a liter bike at all. What attracts me to these bikes is the fact that when you want them to be, they're foaming at the mouth, snarling lunatics, ripping you out of corners, and at the same time they're also able to be a comfortable tourer for long distance, a reasonably decent MPG returning town motorcycle, and there's no doubt in my mind that I could ride this to a track day and have a total blast, and then put it back into road mode and cruise home, comfortable as you like. It does everything. Oh, best feeling ever, dude. I really feel like Triumph have started to come into their own. They've really started pushing what they can do. And I know that you can sit there and say, yeah, but there are plenty of super nakeds, and there are ones that are faster, and ones that look cooler, ones that are cheaper. There are plenty of bikes out there that on paper spank this. But that's not what it's about. Everything on this motorcycle has a premium feel to it. Nothing is scratchy, nothing is cheap and flexible. It's all solid and beautiful. The end result is just this standard of quality that's right up here. It's fantastic to see an English brand at the top of their game.
Before I go ahead and claim that the new Speed Triple R is absolutely perfect in every way, I'm going to stop right there and say that there are a few things to do with this bike that I kind of wish were a little different, and let's just recap those quite quickly. So firstly, because I guess I have rather large feet, I'm a UK size 12, when I'm on the rider pegs, my heels can hit the passenger pegs behind me. The right bar end mirror vibrates and is a little bit blurry when you're looking at it. The fuel filler cap is a little bit fiddly. It's not that easy to flip open with gloves on, so you may look like a bit of a pleb at the fuel station for a little while until you finally open the thing up. The massive undertail exhausts, which I've never really been a fan of in the first place, unfortunately mean that there's almost no underseat storage whatsoever. And as well, I feel like the bike really would have benefited from a quick shifter. And for the price you pay, I'm a little bit surprised that there isn't one. Triumph's redesign of the intake, the airbox, the engine, and all the exhaust system has changed quite drastically the sound of the bike. It doesn't sound quite as raw as the previous model did, but that's kind of like saying I'm mad at somebody for taking my Cornetto away from me and then giving me 2 tons of cart door's finest. With these issues mentioned, let's jump back on the positives for a second. The attention to detail and the quality of the build on this machine is second to none. The handling is incredible, it feels light and nimble despite its size. The low-down power is even better than it was before. The ride-by-wire throttle coupled with the new rider modes and the programmable ECU is a huge bonus, and it's something that the Speed Triple was really missing out on before. They've transformed this motorcycle and taken it to a whole new level. In conclusion, I remember saying at the end of my Street Triple R review, which you can see in the description below, that the Street Triple R was so good, I had no idea what I could possibly find to replace it. But now, with Triumph pulling out all the stops, we finally have our answer.